A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Susan Nganga and our sign language interpreter tonight is Paul Mathenge. We begin this bulletin where President William Ruto today took to his development tour to the Mount Kenya region and growing political tension and shifting alliances within the vote-rich bloc. The head of state used the visit to defend his administration policies and rally support for his leadership, insisting that his government remains focused on economic recovery and service delivery. President Ruto also called on leaders from the region to close ranks and avoid early succession politics, warning that divisions could derail development gains. The Mount Kenya tour is widely seen as a strategic political move aimed at selections. Electorally, the president is expected to continue engaging grassroots leaders as political realignments ahead of the next election begin to take shape.
Mambo ya matibabu, nimepanga mambo ya afya, nimepanga mambo ya affordable housing, nimepanga masoko, nimepanga hostels. Nyinyi mpango yenu ni gani? Ati wananiambia ati agenda yao ni Kasongo, one term must go. Sasa nyinyi watu wa Nyeri, hata mkipima one term Kasongo must go, hiyo ni sera? Hiyo ni sera? Na mimi sisemi kwa kuwaonea, watakuja hapa. Si watakuja hapa kuwatembelea? Watawaambia tu hiyo maneno tatu. Kasongo, one term must go. Finish. Mambo ya barabara hawajui. Mambo ya stima hawana habari. Mambo ya kusomesha watoto wetu hawana mpango. Mambo ya kuongea, mambo ya kupanga ajira ya vijana wetu, they don't know. Mimi nataka niwaulize nyinyi watu wa hapa Nyeri. Si nyinyi ndio mnaamua kura ya MCA? Si nyinyi ndio mnaamua kura ya mjumbe? Si nyinyi ndio mnaamua kura ya gavana? Si nyinyi ndio mnachagua rais? Ni kweli ama si kweli? Huku Nyeri, mtu anachaguliwa kwa sababu ya sura ama kwa sababu ya kazi? Mtu anachaguliwa kwa sababu ya kabila ama kwa sababu ya kazi? Mtu anachaguliwa kwa sababu ya vitimbi ama kwa sababu ya kazi? Si kila mtu anachaguliwa na ile kazi amefanya? Si mimi nitakuja hapa na ile kazi nimefanya? Kama ni ya barabara si nitawaonyesha? Kama ni ya kusomesha watoto nitawaonyesha? Kama ni ya matibabu nitawaonyesha? Si nyinyi mtaamua?
And still on politics, Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barasa has thrown his weight behind a possible ODM-UDA coalition, saying the partnership will unlock accelerated development and political stability for Kakamega County. Addressing the locals in a church function in Kakamega, Barasa urged the wider Western Kenyan region to weigh ODM-UDA realignments ahead of the future election as they work towards a successful coalition. Let's have a look. And other news, the ODM Central Committee has broken its silence, with senior party leaders issuing a strong and unified statement in Kilifi in a meeting led by Oburu Odinga, signaling a firm stance on emerging political developments and internal party matters. The high-level gathering underscored ODM's resolve to safeguard party unity, defend its political interest, and assert its position amid shifting alliances.
Immediately towards positioning ODM not only to contest next year's general elections, but to form the next government, including policy development, organizational readiness, coalition building, and candidate preparedness. Review of the progress of a 10-point agenda, especially compensation for victims of protests. The Central Committee resolved to continue the review of the implementation of the 10-point agenda especially the unresolved matter of compensation for victims of public protests, noting that the courts have declared the proposed panel of experts on compensation of victims of demonstrations and public protests unlawful. The committee resolved to propose that any compensation monies be channeled through the constitutionally and legally recognized institutions, specifically the Kenya National Commission on.
Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduol will square off with his boss James Orengo for the Siaya governor's race in 2027, announcing an interdenominational service at his Hawinga village home in West Alego. Oduol, who has not been in good terms with Orengo for most of the current term, said he will seek the Orange Democratic Movement party ticket. Let's have a listen.
I was going to invite independent churches, small churches across Alego Usonga constituency, because I needed a spiritual nourishment, needed their blessings before I officially go out and start canvassing for the seat of governor of Siaya County. I've also mentioned that the manifesto that we have in Siaya County was largely my manifesto. I actually developed that manifesto. And unfortunately, that manifesto has not been implemented. I am therefore taking this opportunity and imploring and asking the rest of the citizenry, the rest of the residents of Siaya County to elect me in 2027 so that the Siaya Manyan dream can be actualized, so that the 9 points agenda, the manifesto that I came up with, can be implemented. Asanteni sana.
And now shifting the focus to what's currently happening in Kirinyaga County, a political storm is brewing after Ndia Member of Parliament George Kariuki launched a scathing attack on Governor Anne Waiguru, accusing her of political double-dealing within the United Democratic Alliance. Speaking shortly after casting his vote during the UDA grassroots re-elections, Kariuki questioned the governor's loyalty to the party, alleging that some leaders only embraced UDA after it became politically strong. He further claimed that during the Mbeere North by-election, certain leaders were secretly engaging with rival parties in an attempt to weaken UDA's influence. The war of words now expressed growing cracks within the party's leadership in Kirinyaga, raising serious questions about unity, loyalty, and the future direction of UDA in the county.
Kama ni mwanamme ajitokeze, avae t-shirt yetu ya UDA, asimame kiti ya governor, achaguliwe Kirinyaga. But until you are elected as governor of Kirinyaga, hauwezi ambia Kirinyaga wewe ndio kiongozi. Nani amekupatia hiyo kiti?
Sasa wameanza kuja kutupatia lecture. Hata wakati tulikuwa kule Mbeere North tukitafuta kura ya chama ya UDA, wao walikuwa wanaongea na watu wengine hapo, wanaambia ati wanataka tuanguke ndio rais apate aibu. Sasa wakati waliona tumewin kule Mbeere North na walikuwa wamepanga safari ya kututoroka, wakaanza sasa safari ya kurudi kutuambia sasa wao ndio wenye chama, ati ndio wako na nguvu hapa, ati ndio kiongozi hapa.
Kuna watu wana vyama na wana watu na tuko huko kwa sababu yako. Tuko huko kwa sababu wa kiongozi wa chama ambaye ni William Samoei Ruto. Kwa hivyo tupeane heshima kama viongozi.
Wewe kama umepanga safari ya kutoka kwa serikali, kutoka kwa chama ya UDA, piga safari yako peke yako, wachana na watu wa Kirinyaga wakae kwa chama ya UDA.
And with that, it is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is always 21144. We'll be right back.
Today on the show, we're talking about navigating the long-distance relationship.
First of all, the world is now a global village thanks to technology and the internet.
When you talk about relationships, when you talk about love, when you talk about feelings, when you talk about emotions, all these things originate from the heart. I never saw in the Bible where someone was married and then the wife was living far away from them, and then there was something that they were building.
When it comes to relationships and probably communication, that distance is not a barrier.
Yeah.
But it is in communication, in effective communication. There is something that long-distance relationships lack, which is very essential for effective relationship building.
When you're cooking and the tap gets spoiled, do you try to repair it from that point, or you run to the main source and then you close it?
About being a miss or being a pageant queen. It is not just about wearing a crown or looking pretty on social media.
Yeah.
It is about how much you can impact the community.
Yeah.
What can you do with the title you hold? Actually a young model in the industry. I
Okay.
started modeling this year in school.
Oh.
Actually, I used to go to International Youth Fellowship where we had a modeling class. I used to study fashion and design, and we had a modeling class. So I am high fashion trained.
Yeah.
On Instagram, kelly.omuhaya. On TikTok, Miss Omuhaya.
Now tell us about that moment when you had your name that you won Miss Kasarani 2025-2026.
What I would like to advise you is keep going. Keep going. Put God first. Be resilient. Be a go-getter. Find joy within yourself. Walk with pride. Chin up. Smile. You are a queen. He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. That makes me always rise, knowing that I have something that is greater than what people can see.
Yeah.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and now to matters education. The Cabinet Secretary for Education today confirmed that the reporting of the first ever grade 10 learners under the competency-based education system has begun smoothly across the country. During a visit to several senior schools in Murang'a County, the Cabinet Secretary said the entry of grade 10 learners marks a historic milestone in Kenya's education reforms as the pioneer CBE cohort officially joins senior school. Government capitation remains at 22.44 per learner per year, and approved boarding fees have not been increased. The CS clarified that the C1, C2 school cluttering is administrative and has no impact on fees charged to the parents. The government will also supply grade 10 textbooks at a 1:1 ratio by the end of the month, and plans to construct 1,600 laboratories in senior schools nationwide to support practical learning under CBE.
Done is to ensure that all our officers are on hand across the country to respond to any challenges that might arise in the admission process. So far, we haven't seen any major issues or major crises, and the admission will go on all the way to Friday, and even after that, we will be able to discuss and see what is the issue, a status report on Friday, and that status report will determine on whether we open another window for further admissions until each and every learner out of the 1.13 who did KJSA.
And still on matters education, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, that is the NAT, has accused the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, of conducting irregular teachers transfers across counties without proper consultation or direction from education stakeholders. This criticism aligns with NAT's ongoing concerns that such moves violate regulation promoting teachers' placement near their homes to enhance performance. NAT claims TSC failed to engage stakeholders before issuing transfer letters, despite the government's abolition of the delocalization policy.
Katika kaunti zao. Sasa ilikuwaje tukapata mwalimu kutoka Kisumu na delocalization imetolewa? Tungepata mwalimu kama kulikuwa na sababu kabisa, lazima Mr. David Luganda atolewe kwa shule ya Kitale School. Tungepata mwalimu mwingine ambaye equally competent aende kule Kitale School kutoka Trans Nzoia. Alafu Mr. Luganda pengine apeleke shule nyingine Trans Nzoia. Hapa kungekuwa na manunguniko makubwa.
Hii ni shule ambayo kila mtu anaangalia Trans Nzoia. Kwa hivyo lazima jambo likitokea pale mpaka washikadau wote wahusishwe ili tuone kama kulikuwa na shida na mwalimu. Tungejua, tunajua vizuri sana kwamba TSC ina ile jukumu la kuhamisha walimu, lakini lazima yahamishwe kwa njia ambayo sio barbaric hivyo. Hivyo si tukatai ati kwamba lazima mwalimu hawezi kuhamishwa, lakini hapana, lazima ahamishwe kwa njia ambayo itakuwa ya kitaaluma, sio tu kuhamisha walimu kwa njia kama hiyo.
And now to matter security. Residents of Uasin Gishu County can finally breathe a sign of relief after detectives arrested 3 suspected members of a violent criminal gang and recovered an AK-47 rifle loaded with 10 rounds of ammunition. The firearm was found hidden in a thicket within the homestead of one of the suspect, Titus Wainaina Njoroge. The suspect, Titus Wainaina Njoroge, Jeremiah Njunguna Kinyanjui, aka Chikude, and Patrick Inuthia Mwangi are believed to be part of a ruthless gang that has been terrorizing residents through armed robberies and other violent crimes across the county. Investigations have linked the gang to several serious crimes. In one chilling incident on 22nd November 2025, the suspects reportedly held a family hostage, robbed them of their motor vehicle, and forced them to transfer money from their mobile wallets. Detectives are also intensifying efforts to arrest other members of the gang who are still at large. And with that, you have come to the end of the news bulletin. It's always a pleasure having you on board. My name is Susan Nganga, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Mathenge. Have a good night.
Everywhere, GBS.